What if one simple phrase, spoken in the silence of night, could alter the path of your destiny? What if the final words you whisper before sleep held the power to reshape your reality, to summon opportunities, to call wealth into your life? Tonight, we step into a mystery that science often avoids, but one man dedicated his life to uncovering: Jacobo Grinberg. Most people have never heard his name, and yet he was one of the greatest explorers of the human mind. A Mexican scientist, a neurophysiologist, and a seeker who dared to ask the questions others were too afraid to ask. He didn't just study the brain. He asked, what is consciousness? What is reality? And how do we, with a single thought, command it? Grinberg believed the mind is not locked inside the skull. He saw it as a field, an infinite tapestry connecting all things. And it's in this field, this invisible network, where a simple command before sleep takes root. You might be wondering, why before sleep? Why not during the day, when we're awake, alert, full of energy? The answer lies in a hidden gateway, the hypnagogic state, that thin line between waking and sleeping, where the brain is relaxed, but the mind is open. Most people slip through this doorway without even noticing, but Grinberg discovered it is here, right here, where suggestions can bypass the noise of logic and sink directly into the subconscious. Imagine it. The last thought you have at night becomes the seed that grows in the fertile soil of your mind. This isn't just mystical talk. History is filled with creators, inventors, and visionaries who tapped into this state. Thomas Edison used to hold metal balls in his hands while dozing off, so the crash would wake him just as he was about to fall asleep. Why? To catch the brilliant flashes of inspiration that came in that liminal state. Salvador Dalí painted entire worlds born from hypnagogic visions. Nikola Tesla claimed ideas appeared to him in lightning flashes, right between wake and dream. These men trusted the strange twilight of the mind, and they found treasures in it. But Jacobo Grinberg took it further. He asked, what if ordinary people, not just geniuses, could use this state to plant a command? Not just for creativity, but for transformation. Not just for art, but for abundance. He believed that repeating a short, clear command before sleep could rewire the very field of consciousness. That the universe itself bends to the certainty of our inner voice. And this is where wealth, opportunity, and synchronicity begin to appear, not from luck, but from alignment. Why does this matter to you? Because wealth isn't just about numbers in a bank. It's energy, it's flow. And most people live cut off from that flow, trapped in doubt, scarcity, and fear. But if Grinberg was right, you can reconnect with it. You can use the power of your own mind to tune into the frequency of money and call it into your life. Not through desperate wishing, not through endless struggle, but through one powerful command, spoken when your mind is most open. Now here's something even more intriguing. Grinberg's life ended in mystery. In 1994, just before publishing some of his most radical work, he vanished completely. No trace. Some say he was silenced for what he discovered. Others whisper he crossed into another dimension he himself had mapped. His disappearance remains unsolved. And yet, his writings and experiments continue to ripple across time, waiting for those who are ready to listen. Tonight, you're not just hearing about a bedtime phrase. You're stepping into the legacy of a man who disappeared chasing the edges of reality. So stay with me until the end of this video, because what you'll discover may be the missing piece you've been searching for. You'll learn the exact state of mind you need before sleep. You'll hear the command that carries the greatest power, and you'll understand why repeating it nightly doesn't just shift your thoughts. It shifts the very field around you. And when the field shifts, reality follows. Ask yourself this. Are you willing to test the power of your mind, to whisper a command, and trust the universe will listen? If you are, then this video may just be the turning point. Not because I say so, not because it's a but because consciousness itself responds to intention, and the last thought before sleep becomes the blueprint for tomorrow. Welcome to Awakened Synchronicity. If you're ready to explore hidden knowledge, the science behind manifestation, and the secrets left behind by Jacobo Grinberg, then you're in the right place. Make sure you subscribe, because the journey we're on is just beginning, and trust me, you don't want to miss what comes next. Before we talk about the exact command you can use before sleep, let's first understand why this idea matters so much. Most people think that what they do during the day is what shapes their future, their actions, their effort, their hustle. And while all of that is important, Jacobo Grinberg's research suggests something deeper. He believed that the true architect of our reality is not found in the physical world, but in the patterns of the mind. What you think, what you believe, and especially what you impress upon your subconscious, becomes the foundation of what you experience. Now here's the strange part. Your subconscious mind does not sleep. Even when you are resting, even when you are in the deepest state of dreams, it is still recording, processing, and influencing what comes next in your waking life. And this is where the idea of a simple command before sleep enters the picture. Grinberg suggested that the last thoughts, the last emotions, the last words you allow to enter your awareness before drifting off have extraordinary power. They don't just vanish into the night, they become instructions written directly into the field of consciousness. Think of it like programming a computer. During the day, your conscious mind is busy typing, clicking, switching between windows. It is distracted. It is overwhelmed. But at night, as you move closer to sleep, the conscious mind slowly steps aside. The subconscious becomes wide open, like a blank screen ready to receive. And in that moment, one simple command can become the code that tells your inner system what to create next. Jacobo Grinberg was fascinated by this. He studied the way shamans and mystics across Mexico used rituals before sleep. They would repeat phrases, prayers, or commands with calm certainty. He noticed that these words were not random. They carried rhythm, clarity, and intention, and often after repeating them night after night, the person would begin to notice changes, unexpected opportunities, solutions to problems, a flow of abundance that seemed almost magical. To Grinberg, this wasn't magic at all. It was the science of consciousness at work. Before we dive deeper, let's look at how the brain behaves before sleep. Scientists call this stage hypnagogia. It's the twilight zone of the mind, where reality begins to bend, where you might see flashes of images, hear faint voices, or drift into dreamlike thoughts. In this state, your brain waves slow down from the busy beta state into alpha and then into theta. Theta waves are linked to creativity, intuition, and deep learning. This is the same brain state used in hypnosis, where people become highly suggestible and open to new beliefs. So when you place a command into your mind right here, in this state, it doesn't meet resistance. It doesn't get blocked by doubt or fear. It flows straight into the subconscious, like ink on fresh paper. Now imagine the power of linking that state with a phrase of abundance. A command like "money flows to me easily," or "I am connected to infinite wealth." These are not just pretty affirmations. In the hypnagogic state, they become instructions. The subconscious takes them literally, begins searching for patterns, and reprograms the way you notice and interact with the world. Suddenly, you become more aware of opportunities you would normally ignore. You feel more confident making decisions. You carry an energy that attracts people and resources to you, and slowly but surely your external world begins to align with the internal command. Jacobo Grinberg called this the power of the field. He described reality as a lattice of information, where everything is connected. Thoughts are not just private events in your head. They are ripples across this field. When you give a clear command, especially before sleep, you are sending out a wave that interacts with this invisible fabric. And because the field reflects what is placed into it, abundance starts to flow back to you in synchronistic ways. Think of a time when you were about to sleep with worry on your mind. Perhaps it was a bill you couldn't pay, or a problem at work. You fell asleep with that thought, and the next morning the worry was still there, stronger than before. That is the negative side of this process. The subconscious doesn't judge, it simply accepts. If you fall asleep with fear, fear multiplies. If you fall asleep with scarcity, scarcity deepens. But Grinberg believed you could flip this. Instead of fear, you could plant confidence. Instead of scarcity, you could plant abundance. Instead of despair, you could plant hope. And night after night, these seeds would grow. Before we talk about the exact words you might use, think about how powerful it feels to know that you are not powerless before sleep. Every night you hold a key. You hold the ability to give your mind a command, and your mind will obey it in ways you cannot yet understand. This is not superstition. It's not empty belief. It's based on the observation of how consciousness itself works. Jacobo Grinberg often spoke of the theory of the field of consciousness. He proposed that our minds are not isolated inside the skull. Instead, they are nodes of a greater network. When you think, when you imagine, when you command, you are not just talking to yourself, you are interacting with the entire field. And that field responds, sometimes slowly, sometimes suddenly, but always it responds. Now you might wonder, why abundance? Why money? The truth is, money is one of the strongest symbols of energy flow in our world today. It is how resources move, how opportunities circulate, how lives expand. When you command abundance before sleep, you are not simply asking for paper bills, you are programming yourself to tune into the flow of energy, to notice where it moves, and to become part of that movement. Money is the effect. Alignment with the field is the cause. Before we move further, I want you to hold this image in your mind. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean. During the day, the waves are noisy, chaotic, impossible to control. But at night, as you drift into sleep, the ocean becomes still. And in that stillness, you can drop one stone, one clear command. The ripples move outward, touching everything. And eventually the waves return to you, carrying exactly what you set in motion. This is the essence of the big idea, not superstition, not chance, but conscious participation in the deepest layers of reality. And so Jacobo Grinberg's work leads us to this simple truth. The last words you say before sleep matter more than you know. They are not just thoughts. They are blueprints. They are commands. And the subconscious, faithful and tireless, will carry them into the field where reality is shaped. Night after night, your command becomes stronger, until what was once a whisper in the dark becomes the voice of your life itself. Jacobo Grinberg was not a typical scientist. He was a Mexican neurophysiologist who chose to step beyond the borders of traditional research. While most of his colleagues focused on the measurable functions of the brain, Grinberg was fascinated by consciousness itself. What is awareness? Where does thought come from? How do we connect to something greater than ourselves? These were not casual questions for him. They became the center of his life's work. Born in Mexico City in 1946, he was deeply affected by his mother's early death, an event that made him wonder about the mysteries of life, death, and the unseen forces guiding human existence. Instead of ignoring those mysteries, he went after them. He studied psychology at the National Autonomous University of Mexico and later specialized in psychophysiology. But unlike most researchers, he combined the rigor of science with the curiosity of a seeker. Grinberg did not limit himself to laboratories. He spent time with shamans, healers, and meditators. He sat with indigenous traditions in Mexico, observing how they used rituals, altered states, and words to shape reality. To him, these practices were not superstitions. They were experiments, just as valid as those conducted in scientific labs. He wanted to bridge two worlds, the measurable and the mystical. This blending of science and spirituality became his signature. Through dozens of books and studies, he explored meditation, the power of intention, and the nature of what he called the lattice of consciousness. He believed the mind was not confined to the skull, but was part of a larger field that connects all beings. One of the areas Grinberg explored deeply was the hypnagogic state. This is the fragile borderland between waking and sleeping. Everyone passes through it every night, but most people slip across it unconsciously. You know the feeling, your body is heavy, your thoughts start to drift, images flash unexpectedly, and you are not quite awake but not yet asleep. This is hypnagogia. Scientists have studied it and noticed that in this state, brain activity shifts. The fast beta waves of daily thinking slow into alpha, then into theta. These slower rhythms bring relaxation, openness, and heightened suggestibility. Hypnagogia is like a hidden doorway in the mind. Artists and inventors have long known its power. Salvador Dalí would sit with a spoon in his hand, letting himself drift into this state. The spoon would drop when he was just about to sleep, jolting him awake so he could capture the strange, vivid images that appeared. Thomas Edison did something similar with metal balls in his hands, using the sudden crash to catch his mind in that in-between place. Nikola Tesla described flashes of inspiration that came when he floated between waking and sleep. These men were not imagining the usefulness of hypnagogia, they were exploiting it. They knew that in this twilight state, the mind could access deeper creativity and insight. Grinberg, however, was interested in another dimension of hypnagogia. Beyond creativity, he saw it as a moment when the subconscious was wide open. During the day, the conscious mind acts as a gatekeeper. It filters, questions, and blocks new ideas, especially those that challenge deep beliefs. But in hypnagogia, that gatekeeper relaxes. The subconscious becomes porous, receptive, hungry, and what you place into it at that moment can settle deeply. This is why the last words or thoughts before sleep carry such weight. They bypass resistance and sink into the deepest layers of the mind. For manifesting abundance, this state is golden. Imagine trying to repeat an affirmation about wealth during the day. Your conscious mind might argue back, "But I'm broke, but I have debts, but nothing is changing." Those objections weaken the impact. But in hypnagogia, the objections are asleep. A phrase like "money flows easily to me" or "I am connected to abundance" slips in unchallenged. The subconscious takes it literally, begins to look for evidence, and adjusts your perception of reality to match. This is why Jacobo Grinberg emphasized the importance of pre-sleep programming. The hypnagogic state is not just a passing blur, it is a chance to plant seeds that grow into experiences. From the perspective of neuroscience, this makes sense. The subconscious mind controls patterns of thought, emotional responses, and even the way you notice events in daily life. When you tell your subconscious something repeatedly, it begins to rewire itself. This is called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new pathways, and the timing of those suggestions matters. Just before sleep, when theta waves dominate, the brain is especially primed for rewiring. This is the same principle used in hypnosis and guided meditation. The critical mind is quiet. The inner landscape is fertile. Grinberg also pointed to the field of consciousness. To him, the subconscious was not just personal, it was connected to the greater lattice that unites all things. When you plant a command in hypnagogia, you are not only shaping your inner world, but also sending a signal into the field, and the field responds. This idea resonates with what modern quantum physics hints at, that consciousness may influence reality in subtle but measurable ways. While most scientists would hesitate to say this outright, Grinberg was bold enough to explore it. He believed that what you think before sleep doesn't just stay inside, it radiates outward, reshaping the probabilities of what comes your way. Consider how this works in daily life. If you fall asleep worrying about bills, your subconscious locks onto scarcity. The next day, you notice problems, obstacles, and reasons to feel stressed. You attract more of what you fear because your mind is primed to see it. But if you fall asleep repeating a command of abundance, your subconscious begins to expect prosperity. You wake with a lighter energy, a sharper awareness of opportunities. You begin to act differently, make choices that align with wealth, and attract people who resonate with that vibration. The external world shifts to match the internal command. Jacobo Grinberg saw this not as a miracle, but as a natural law of consciousness. Just as gravity shapes the movement of planets, consciousness shapes the flow of events, and hypnagogia is the moment when you can give consciousness a direct instruction. It is like speaking to the architect while the building is still under construction, rather than after the walls are set. Every night, you are handed this opportunity. Every night, you can choose the blueprint. The science of mind programming supports this. Studies show that the thoughts and emotions you hold before sleep influence the content of your dreams, the quality of your rest, and even your mood the next day. If the last thing you focus on is stress, your body remains tense through the night. If the last thing is gratitude, your body relaxes and restores itself better. Extend this principle, and you see the larger picture. Your last thoughts are not just about sleep. They are about shaping the subconscious, and the subconscious, in turn, shapes your reality. Jacobo Grinberg's legacy lies in showing us that these moments are not small. They are gateways. They are portals into the deeper structures of consciousness. And when you speak a command before sleep, you are doing more than whispering words. You are programming the code of reality itself. There is something powerful about words spoken at the right time. Not all words carry the same weight. During the rush of the day, your mind is too crowded, too distracted, too skeptical to absorb them. But in the silence of night, as you drift between wakefulness and sleep, a single phrase can become a command. This command is simple, short, and positive. It does not beg or plead. It does not carry doubt. It affirms abundance as if it already exists. Words like money flows to me with ease, or I live in infinite prosperity, or abundance is my natural state. The key is simplicity. The subconscious responds not to long speeches, but to clear, confident instructions. A single line is enough to become the seed of transformation. When Jacobo Grinberg explored the consciousness field, he found that intention had to be clear. Ambiguity dissolves in the subconscious, but clarity echoes. This is why a short command works. It is not asking for something far away. It is claiming what is already connected to you through the field. Imagine whispering, "I am connected to wealth," right before your mind slips into the open state of hypnagogia. That thought does not just stay as sound. It imprints itself into the deeper layers of your being, and the subconscious, loyal and unquestioning, begins to look for evidence to match it. But before you give the command, preparation matters. Think of it like planting a seed. The soil must be ready. If the mind is restless, filled with worry, or tense with the day's noise, the command will not sink as deeply. Preparing for this moment is simple, but essential. First, relax your body, lie comfortably. Let your muscles soften. Feel your breath slowing down. Each inhale, each exhale, drawing you closer to stillness. You do not have to force anything, just allow the body to release tension. Second, quiet your thoughts. If your mind is busy, focus gently on the rhythm of your breathing. Let the day dissolve. You are stepping into a sacred space. Third, bring your attention to your heart. Feel calm, feel open. Then when you are balanced and quiet, speak the command softly to yourself. Once, twice, no need for endless repetition. The subconscious does not require shouting. It requires clarity. Whisper it like a truth. Abundance flows to me now. And then let it go, drifting into sleep with those words as your last impression. When practiced like this, changes begin to appear. At first, they may seem small. You might wake up feeling lighter, more optimistic, more creative. You might notice a new idea for solving a problem that seemed impossible the day before. Perhaps you encounter someone unexpectedly who opens a door of opportunity, or you stumble upon a resource, a connection, or an event that aligns with your needs. These are not coincidences. They are subtle results of the subconscious reshaping your awareness. When the subconscious accepts abundance as a fact, you begin to notice abundance, where before you only saw lack. You recognize opportunities instead of ignoring them. You act with more confidence, and that energy draws people and situations toward you. Over time, the results become stronger. It is like tuning a radio. At first, the signal is faint, scattered with static. But the more you repeat the command at the edge of sleep, the clearer the frequency becomes. Your subconscious aligns with it. Your actions unconsciously begin to match it. You live as if abundance is natural, and reality organizes itself around that belief. Jacobo Grinberg believed that this is how consciousness interacts with the field. A repeated command creates resonance. Resonance draws experiences that match its vibration. The external world bends to the internal blueprint. Skeptics might ask, why should this work? Why should a phrase before sleep change anything? The answer lies not only in Grinberg's theory of the consciousness field, but also in history. Many of the greatest minds understood the unique power of the hypnagogic state. Nikola Tesla described visions of inventions appearing fully formed when he slipped into that twilight state. He did not force them. They arrived because his mind was open. Salvador Dalí painted bizarre, surreal masterpieces that were inspired directly from images he captured as he drifted between waking and sleeping. Thomas Edison used to nap with metal balls in his hand, so that when they dropped, he would jolt awake and record the ideas that surfaced in that liminal state. These men trusted that the mind, in its in-between state, could access something beyond ordinary thought. If hypnagogia can bring inventions, art, and breakthroughs, why not abundance? The mind does not distinguish between a creative idea and a command of prosperity. Both are absorbed by the subconscious with equal seriousness. When Tesla saw a new design in his half-dreaming state, he trusted it and built it. When you give your mind a command of wealth in that same state, your subconscious takes it as a design to build into your life. It begins scanning reality for patterns that match. It adjusts your behavior without you forcing it. It aligns you with opportunities that already exist but were hidden from your view. Grinberg insisted that consciousness is a field where intention acts like a vibration. A command spoken before sleep is not only personal, it radiates into that field, and the field, like an echo, responds. This is why many who practice this nightly find synchronicities, small but undeniable signs that reality is bending toward them. A sudden refund, a job opportunity, a chance meeting, a forgotten debt repaid. These may seem ordinary, but in the rhythm of life, they are signals that the command is working. The more you notice them, the stronger the alignment becomes. There is also a psychological reason it feels believable. Your subconscious controls more of your actions than you realize, from the way you interpret events, to the choices you make, to the confidence you carry. It is the subconscious that directs the show. By programming it with abundance before sleep, you change the script running in the background. Instead of sabotage, you set yourself up for synchronicity. Instead of doubt, you create expectancy, and expectancy itself is powerful. People who expect abundance act differently. They take chances, they radiate confidence, they magnetize results. The great thinkers knew this, even if they explained it in different ways. For Tesla, it was vision. For Dalí, it was art. For Edison, it was invention. For Jacobo Grinberg, it was the conscious field of reality itself. They all touched the same truth, that the moments before sleep are not trivial. They are portals. Portals to creativity, portals to power, portals to abundance. A short, simple command, spoken in that doorway, does not fade. It lingers, it shapes, it builds. And little by little, it transforms the life around you to match the vibration you placed within. Every night you are given a doorway, a few quiet seconds where your mind is open, soft, and ready to listen. Use those moments. Speak your command with calm faith and let it drift into your subconscious. Don't force, don't chase, just trust. Small signs will come first. A new idea, a lucky meeting, an unexpected opportunity. And those small shifts, repeated night after night, build into real change. Try it tonight. See for yourself how powerful your last thought before sleep can be. And if this message resonated with you, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Awaken Synchronicity, where we explore the hidden power of the mind and the wisdom of Jacobo Grinberg. Your journey into abundance is just beginning.